The Special Assistant in Public Communications to Atiku Abubakar pranked Shaibu as warned supporters of the All Progressive Congress APC and President Bola Tinubu against disrupting proceedings at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Shaibu, in a statement he signed, said that the warning had become imperative following the sponsored protests that Tinubu supporters staged at the European Union head office in Abuja after the release of the EU Observer Mission report, which revealed how the election failed the credibility test. The EU report pointed out some grey areas over the handling of the 2023 general elections by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). The report was, however, not well received by some personalities in the APC, including the president's spokesman, Dele Alakon, former Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Festus Keyamo, and Femi Fani-Kayode, who criticized the report. Subsequently, a group of people stormed the EU headquarters to carry out a demonstration over the election report. Reacting, however, Shaibu stated, and I quote, "We seize this opportunity to send a warning to the Tinubu government and its minions against disrupting the proceedings of the election tribunal, as they have shown a clear disdain for the truth by picketing the EU office." Recall that in 1999, when the late legendary lawyer Chief Gani sued Tinubu for school certificate forgery, talks were sponsored to cause protests outside the courthouse. Similarly, when Tinubu was facing charges before the Code of Conduct Tribunal, talks were similarly sponsored to protest at the trial, all in a bid to intimidate the judiciary. We find it curious that the same security agencies which have been issuing statements barring protests were curiously available to provide cover for sponsored pro-government protesters to picket the EU office. We sound a note of warning to the security agencies to be on the alert as the tribunal proceedings wind down. The world is watching. Shaibu lamented that in just 40 days of Tinubu's administration, poverty had deepened and inflation had skyrocketed. He added that the poverty had made innocent Nigerians susceptible to manipulations, and this was being exploited by the APC. Shaibu stated, and I quote, "Today, food has become a luxury. The purchasing power of the people has dropped, no thanks to an unplanned petrol subsidy removal, which was not accompanied by any form of palliatives. With just 1,000 naira, any riffraff on the street could be handed a t-shirt and placard to engage in protests they know nothing about. This is how low Nigeria has sunk low since Tinubu took over the reins of government." Shaibu added that Tinubu was running a government of hypocrisy by attributing the APC's failures to select scapegoats while failing to point fingers at former President Muhammadu Buhari. Tinubu blamed Godwin Emefiele for the country's economic woes and ordered his detention, while he continued to shower praises on the man who not only appointed Emefiele but gave him a national award. "This is the height of hypocrisy," Atiku's aide said. He said that rather than acknowledge that the election was flawed, Tinubu continued to grandstand, thereby infuriating Nigerians. He added, and I quote, "No one needs to be told that the 2023 presidential election was one of the worst ever conducted in Nigerians' history. The 2007 election was similarly bad, but at least the key recipient, President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, admitted the poll was flawed and immediately kicked off electoral reforms. However, Tinubu, by rejecting the EU report, has ruled out the possibility of electoral reform." Tinubu is the opposite of a statesman. He claimed the 2023 election is the best Nigerian has had since 1999 and continues to draw parallels between it and June 12, 1983 election by constantly mentioning the name of MKO Abiola and Hope 93. This is the height of deception. MKO's victory was spike and span. MK Abiola represented the hope of a generation, while Tinubu stole the hope of a generation. Tinubu's renewed hope is nothing but renewed hopelessness, a continuation of Buhari's 8 years of monumental failure. It is simply, as the youth says, renewed shaky. We ask Nigerians to tarry a while as we wait for the judiciary to correct the evil that INEC imposed on over 200 million people.
Singing songs of solidarity, members of a civil society coalition marched through the streets of Abuja to register their displeasure with the report of the European Union criticizing the 2023 general elections. peaceful march terminates at the headquarters of the European Union, where leaders of the group addressed officials of the Union.
We have come to register unequivocally that we are not satisfied with the report of the European Union. As a matter of fact, we are of the opinion that the report is not just ridiculous, but a deliberate act to slight the Nigerian entity, and of course, by implication, our leaders and the government of Nigeria.
Particularly now that we are grappling with fundamental issues of insecurity, there is no way European Union will beat her chest and say she's in love with Nigeria and she's in love in seeing the progress of this country, and also at the same time come to add salt to injury. It shouldn't be.
With a promise from the political advisor at the union to relay the message of the protesters, the group take their leave. At a separate event, the Inter-Party Advisory Council aligns with the protesters as they believe INEC deserves commendation for conducting credible elections.
IPAC is of the opinion that the 2023 general election was one of the most meticulously prepared for in recent times. Also, the unprecedented enthusiasm demonstrated by the Nigerian youth who trooped out in their numbers despite structural and procedural challenges were largely responsible for some of the positive developments. INEC should be praised for the technological innovations introduced, especially in the accreditation of voters using the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, which has generally been scored very high by voters.
The European Union Election Observation Mission to Nigeria had in its final report faulted the 2023 general election, stating violence, killing, and vote buying as some of the factors for its criticism.